starting now. And when I'm done and I hit stop, I can save it. It saves it as a little movie, and I can post it to YouTube. I did this last year. We had a 55-minute session. I was not, because I've had a year of experience, I wasn't as smooth or as quick, which means that it might not be as an efficient presentation, but everything that I did last year is on there on YouTube, so you can do a little search right there. I've had students, I've done things on the board where I do worksheets or whatever else on the board, and I have recorded it and posted it because kids said, yeah, I think I would do that. I've done that, and I've seen like there's been like 2 views, so I've kind of stopped doing that, but you can post things very, very easily. And so I'm going to record this, and I'll show you how to get this on there in case you want to do something similar. Actually, why don't we do that first? So if you wanted to modify your toolbar, I had to ask Mary Jane because she helped me 2.5 years ago do this. I couldn't remember how to because once it's on there, I have it saved. So right there, there's your little settings bar. And okay, having 2 screens is not being very useful here. So tons of tools here that you can use. And Mary Jane says you click on settings, you pick the one you want. I'm not going to see this one because it's already up here, but you're going to look for this little kind of old school movie camera looking thing. I think it's called lesson viewer. Sometimes it's called just video. And you literally just drag it up, and now it's part of your desktop, your toolbar, which is what I have done. And like I said, I have not been recording things recently, but that is definitely an option. So what I find is I like making myself a template, saving it, so that instead of opening up Smart Notebook every single time, what I do is I get a template, I save it as template, and when it's time for me to do a new presentation for a new chapter, I just copy and paste this, so I get template in template 1, I rename template 1, Newton's Laws, and then I now have that as my go-to. Everything's saved, everything is ready to go. On the back, and if we have time, I'll get to on the back, the things that I do personally, how I like to post my notes and everything else. I don't really have PowerPoints or anything. I've got pieces of paper for anyone that wants one person there. You can leave it right back there if you don't mind. Now, this thing is also recording audio, and it's getting the audio from the microphone of your laptop. So if I step away, it's going to sound a little muffled. It's not going to have great sound quality. If you're looking for good sound quality, you get a plug-in microphone, you wear it, and you can get real good quality. If you're just kind of doing something, you're just trying to get the information out there and sound quality isn't all that important, then using your laptop, as long as you're not too far away from it, your laptop will work just fine. Okay, I post all my stuff to Edmodo. You can use your school website, you can use your Google Classroom. I'm not as familiar with those things, but anywhere you have to locate your electronic files, you can get all this stuff, put it to a PDF, and post it out there for the kids. And I have that on the back of that sheet as well. And again, if we run short on time, don't be afraid to ask anytime, today, tomorrow, whenever. So first, you can move your toolbar up and down if you want. I'm tall, so I can reach. I ask the kids, where do you want it? They're like, leave it up there, it's fine. I can move this around. I'm right-handed, so I like this on the left-hand side, so I can do all my work here because I don't want to block the audience. But you can move those side to side. You can move those up and down. And obviously, any other add-ons you want. It's a long toolbar up here, so you can put on anything else you want. That's everything that I'm going to need. These big arrows, actually, let's do this right here. If I click on this, these are all the slides. So I can use the green and red to add extra slides. I can use the red one to take it away. I have the shortcut down here as well. The big straight arrows go back and forth between my slides. So do these arrows here. And then this one right here, that's the undo arrow. I use that one all the time because anytime you don't have the arrow icon, to make this thing go away, you literally have to touch your board. And if you don't have the arrow icon, you have some other drawing icon. And then if I had the circle icon on, okay, I'm doing okay, I do this, I get a circle. And I don't want the circle. So I am always forgetting, and undo just undoes the last thing you did. So get familiar with that one. That's the redo button. I rarely need that one because I'm always trying to fix things. So be comfortable with that undo because you'll use it all the time if you're doing presenting like this, not to be confused with the side-to-side arrows. Let's see. So this is on the sheet, but I think it's worth showing. If you wanted to, let's see here. If you wanted to put a worksheet, I'm not a fan of the little viewer on my desk. I like standing, and I don't like being kind of hunched down and trying to do my work on a sheet of paper if I'm going through doing some math problems with my physics students. So I am a fan of taking my files and putting them to Smart Notebooks. So I go File, I go Print, and this is all on a sheet of paper, so you don't have to write down frantically. And from my printer, I go to the very bottom, and I can send it to Smart Notebook. I can do all the same thing, 2 pages to 1, whatever else. I like it just big and bold, just like that. So I hit Print. It takes a little bit of time, but what's going to happen is I'm going to end up with a second Smart Notebook file popping up, and it's going to have an electronic version of my Word document that is now going to be a slide right here. So I'm guessing it's going to pop up on the other screen, so I'll think for later. I'm just going to do one single screen. Smart Notebook does take a while to open up, so it's still opening. Here it is. So let me drag this over. And so there it is. So I can save this as worksheet number 1. I can save this as whatever I want. Or I can click on the arrow. I can copy the page. I can then go to my presentation, and I can hit the arrow, and I can say paste, and now I have this on here. So if this is a math question or whatever else, I can go through and do my worksheet in front of the kids like this. I can have them come up. I can do big, bold, reds and green colors instead of just my pen. I can audio this, and that's what I used to do, and I found out the kids weren't really watching it, which, okay, no big deal, I'll have to stop doing it. But I can go through and I can just, in the privacy of my own classroom, I can just be talking and like I'm teaching, and they see what's happening, and they hear the audio. Obviously, they can't see where my hand is unless it's on the board, but they can see the keystrokes, if you want to call it that. The one issue here is that if you forget and you are scrolling up and down, the only way to scroll up and down is right here. Unfortunately, that is kind of inconvenient. But if I'm doing this and I want to move something, whoops, I didn't want to move that. That's what I'm writing on. I undo, and I use my cursor here, and I just do a right click, and I can lock this in place, lock in place, and now this is the background. So now I cannot move this, which is what I want. I want this thing locked in place. So now I can take a red pen or whatever else, and I can add, whatever it is that I want to add to my picture. So that's very convenient. So I can actually take my worksheets or printed notes that I already have, and I can put them into one of these files. And now I've got my handwritten notes with the kids. I've got a worksheet that we've done here. I've got a graph that I made. I can do everything and put it all in one spot. So lock the page. And again, we only have 20 minutes, and there's so much we could do. So I'm, kind of quickly here. If I go to this page right here, and so you notice I hit the button, I got off the screen. There's my little red dot. Don't want that little red dot. Eventually, you're going to get to a bottom, and it's going to offer you the option to extend the page. So right here, this is 0 extensions. I hit extend the page, and it just makes it a little bit taller. This right here is going to be if I have one single extension. This is 2 extensions, and right there, 3 extensions. 3 extensions, I have found that when it's time to print this as a PDF, so I can save it on my website, I have found that 3 extensions makes the PDF about the size of a sheet of paper. If I keep extending and extending, you can do that, but when you put it to a PDF, it's going to take your file, and it's going to horizontally shrink it so they can all fit on one single page. All right? So if I go to File, and again, this is on the sheet that I've given you, Export PDF, I can do thumbnails and handouts. I have no need for that. I go full page because the kids in my class, they just have it on their phone. I'll see them looking at my notes on their phone. They never print off, at least for my class, so I have no use for all this other stuff. And so you'll notice that if I go to the next page here, you'll notice there is that 3rd extension. So you can see I'm taking up the entire page. As soon as I get to 4, 5, and 6, it starts to squish in this way, and I start to lose some of that, some of the clarity. So that's how I do that. So I save that, and then I can post that. So When it comes to an extension and I have it on your sheet of paper, I would suggest extending it 3 times, and that gives you a perfectly sized piece of paper when it comes to your PDF file. Okay, so some of the features that you have. So you can do geometric shapes. You can do something a little more detailed, especially for the math teachers and the chemistry teachers. I can do different types of arrows. I can change what my finger does up here. I hate drawing with my finger. I always draw with a marker, so I never use that. I'm always using this. They have the same exact options. I prefer having the marker in my hand because I feel I have more control. I can also do, I can type in my font, so I just put in a text box, and now I can use my keyboard to add things. I'm not a fan of this one, because every time I do it, it makes the font bigger or smaller, and it's never uniform. I'm sure there's a way to fix that I just haven't figured out yet. And then you can use erasers, basically just big old hand works. When it comes to the marker, I'm on eraser now, so when it comes to the marker, when you pick it up, it should be active. I can change thicknesses. I can change colors. So if I want a thick blue marker, I can do that. If I want a little red marker, I do that. I don't use 2 markers back and forth because to me it doesn't make any sense. I just do this. And quite frankly, I have the marker that the kids never touch. The black marker is mine. It goes in my pocket all day. I'm done to put it here. If someone else needs to use mine, you can use the germ marker. This one's mine. Or you can have the kids use their finger. But this one's mine. No one touches my black marker except me, and I can do everything. I can go up here and I can do all the fancy. I can do a crayon. I can do the calligraphy. That's always, it's always real pretty. So if I want to write out my name, it's got that little calligraphy if I want. Obviously, I don't have much of a need for that. Lots of things you can play with. I do like the text pen. The text pen allows you to write, and as long as your handwriting is mildly legible, it will record whatever you want, and every so often you make it might get an S or a 5 confused. It delays a second, and I can just let it go, and that little green check mark just disappears, and now that is permanent. I can do that again. You got to wait a few seconds. It pops up, and I can say, yep, good, positive. So one second here. If I goofed up, red X leaves it as ink. I do that by touching here and by selecting the little dots up here. And I get all the same options here. So I can do, let's get rid of this. So I can do all that right here. I can click on this and I have all my options here. So if I want to use my finger, that's fine. I can use my text pen and I can do that here. Again, I don't like drawing with my fingertips, so that's not what I use, but you can do that. So that's the pen that I like to use. You also have a highlighter. So the highlighter obviously doesn't go over and block the ink that's underneath, so I can go through and I can highlight anything I want. Obviously the red on the magenta color is kind of hard to see, but you can see I did not cover the 3, I've highlighted it. So again, I'm a fan of simply using the pen. And the more you do this, the quicker you get with it. When it comes to erasing only erases things that are made by the pen, any drawings. So this right here, highlighter, that will erase. I can also do the circle it and touch, and I can erase it that way from the old school smart boards. I cannot erase things that are not drawings. That's not a drawing anymore, so I can't erase that. I can't erase the shapes. I can't erase the lines. I cannot erase those. I go to an arrow, I touch it, and I can hit the delete button up there. I can hit the arrow and delete button there. So that red X is very convenient. So if I don't want that, the red X deletes them. So if it's a drawing, erase. If it's not erasing, you have to delete it. Modifying this bar up here. So let's do lines. I do a lot of lines in physics, a lot of vector arrows, things like that. So I've gone through and I've modified all this. So I've got 5 options here. And sometimes it won't allow you to have like 2 different black lines or 2 different green lines. So you kind of work your way around that. But let's say this first icon. This first icon is a straight black line. This icon, I have it set up as a red arrow. What I can do is I can go to any of these. And I can change on the spot. I can change my color. I can change my thickness, my line style. If I want arrows, I can change all of that. So if I want a line that's got a little square thing at the end, there it is. Whenever I do that, that's a one-time change. I go back to this, I'm back to a straight black line again. If I want to change this for the permanent and make that part of my template like I have here, I go to here and I have the little icon on the sheet of paper for you. It's this little A. I click on that. I can change the fill effects. There is no fill for a line, so there's nothing really to do there. I go to line style. I can change thickness, color. I can change if I want an arrow at the beginning. If I want an arrow at the end, I can do all of that. So if I want to make this a purple, thicker line with an arrow, once I've done that, save tool properties. As soon as I do that, that is now what I get every time I click on that first box. So now I can do my dotted line for a normal line. I can put in a vector arrow, and then I want my big fat purple arrow. There it is. And so that's why I would suggest setting it up and saving your own personal template so that everything is where you want it and it's how you want it. I can do the same thing with my shapes. Okay, so right now, my circle, there are fill effects. So I want it to be filled in, and I want the line to be purple is pretty nice, and a nice big purple circle. I can save it. Now every time I draw, get rid of that. Now every time I draw a circle, it's going to be this big filled in purple circle. I can change the color on the inside, the color on the outside. No, I don't like that. Undo, and I'm right back to where I was. It's going to stay like that until I go through, and if I decide, you know what, I don't really like that, so I'm going to go with no fill, and I like my little black circle. Now I'm back to having my normal circle again. So you can modify that as you go through. One thing I forgot to mention with your pen, you can do the same thing here. Line thickness, you can also change the style. I want to have an arrow, so now I can do an arrow there, or I can have a double-ended arrow. I can have a dotted line, and so you can actually add lots of different features and thicknesses and colors. When you're hand drawing, these are lines that I've drawn, so those erase. These are not things that I've drawn. Those are shapes that I took off here. Can't erase it, but I can hit delete. You can also change after the fact. Here's my big purple arrow. You know what? Maybe a red arrow is going to be better. Okay, maybe a yellow arrow is going to be better. You know what? I want that line to be a little bit thinner, and so you can modify it after the fact as well. You can click on the arrow, and you have options. You can flip things. You can order things. So I can bring something to the front. So it's the front. I can move things to the back. I have that listed as things that are shortcuts for Microsoft. If you can't do that, I can help you. But we're not going to go over that. So changing the order, flipping it around, locking it in place, just like with my worksheet, I can lock this circle in place and make it part of the background, permanent background. Sheets of paper or somewhere over there. Let's see here. The clone button. The clone button is copy and paste all in one. Clone it, and there we go. Now I've got two yellow lines. Larry Bocce's favorite is the infinite cloner. Now I can just drag as many arrows as I want. I can come over here and draw. I come back and I still have my infinite cloner. Not until I touch it and I take away the infinite symbol. Now it's back to normal. So I can make infinite clones. If I have a nice drawing that I like or a nice shape that I like, I can make a whole bunch. Maybe I'm doing hand drawing and I do I don't know, I do some kind of a molecule or something. I don't know, I have a red for something, and then I decide that I want black as well. They're not even touching, but I can make those one big item. I go to the arrow, and I can do this. So as you can see, those two red circles, because I drew them so close together, time-wise, they're considered one object. And then down here, there's a second object. I can group those. That's a Microsoft shortcut. I can group them together. Now I have one single shape, and now I can do anything I want with that. I can clone it once. I can do the infinite cloner and make a whole bunch of them. So if I'm doing molecules or whatever else, I can get rid of my infinite cloner there. I can rotate it around. I can do all those sorts of things. So things that you may have already dabbled with in Microsoft, you can do all the same things here. Let's see here. we're just about out of time. All the things that I thought were the most important that I tried to get to, I think I got to most of those. Again, you get better and better and better just by playing around. So my method for doing this, I have 3 physics classes. I will have hour 1, hour 2, and hour 3. 3 separate files that all start off identical. I go through and I do first hours. Second hour, I start fresh with the second hour file and the third hour file. At the very end of the day, prep hour, the next morning, I look at all of them.
Adam staff, it is now 10:05. Session 1 should be ending, and session 2 starts at 10:10. Thank you.
I look at all of them, kind of side by side, so to speak. Okay, slide number 1, you know what, I did that drawing bad, I like this one here, and I delete the other 2. And what I can do is, just like I could take these 2 and I could copy 1 page and put over here, I basically blend them all together. At the end of the day, I get one good one with all my perfect slides. I literally delete the other 2. I post that day. Edmodo allows you to do posting day by day, so I can say, okay, hey, on Tuesday, here's day 3 of the notes. And it's there, they can open it up. And what do? I have that single file, I copy and paste, I make hour 1, 2, and 3, and I just continue that for an entire chapter. I might have 30 pages of notes. At the very end, every single day, I put all 3 together into one single best file. At the very end of my lesson, I save it as a PDF like I do every day. I post it like I do every day, and I say final notes. And they can click on that. So they have everyday notes, and they also have, at the end of the whole chapter, notes. And it's on a timeline on a little posted board. So it's just like a posting in a chat room or something like that. I guess you just, okay, next day, the next day, the next day. And that's how I personally do this. That's how I use this to get out there electronically. And most of the stuff that I talked about is on that sheet that I had for you. If you didn't get that, it's around, and I can always make more copies. I should have enough. And there's lots of things you can do with the kids. You get the kids come up and draw. Once they see you doing it, they know how to do it. So you can have a blank worksheet. Who wants to come up? They'll come up. They can take the stick marker or their finger and they can draw. You can do things ahead of time, words, and they can slide the words around and bang things together. So thank you for coming. I know I spoke fast to try to get a lot in. And you can always go to that. You can always go to that YouTube video if you want. It's a little bit slower and less efficient, but you're welcome. Thank you, Eric. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. A lot like illustrator, Eric. Yeah.
No one touches mine. No one touches my dry erase marker. When I had the gray board, now no one touches mine.
I understand. You guys say she knew. No, I understand. You're like a magician.
Well, once you get really good at things, like you can do things ahead of time, right? I can give you a picture, but once you know how to do things, I can do it right on the spot, and it's like the kids are. I did a picture of how an engine works. So I went on Google and found a picture of a piston and a picture of I'm clipping and pasting and drawing and like so. What I put, I had years of experience. Kids are like, wow, it's so good in a picture. Thank you. You know what? Let's turn off our video.